How do you go from a tiny Christmas cactus like this to a large Christmas cactus like you see here? Well, it takes a lot of time, a lot of patience, and the right environmental conditions. But in this video, I'm going to give you how-to tips, tricks, and hacks on how to go from a small Christmas cactus to a large Christmas cactus. Also, stay with me until the end of the video and I will show you how to make sure your Christmas cactus blooms at the right time of year every single year, and also 2 fail-proof ways to propagate Christmas cactus so that you can give them away to family and friends during the holiday season. Hi, I'm Dr. Tom Warren and you're watching The Plant Doctor. Let's get started. So there's several variables that we need to go over in order to be able to successfully grow a Christmas cactus. The 2 most important are going to be sunlight and water. And to understand the sunlight and watering requirements for Christmas cactus, we need to have an understanding of their native environment. Christmas cactus is going to be native to the rainforest of Central America and parts of South America. Christmas cactus is an epiphyte, meaning that it lives on other organisms. It's going to get all of its nutrients from the environment around it, not to be confused with a parasite that needs a host and drawing nutrients from its host. It just needs a place to live, and it lives on other organisms. The ideal growing conditions for Christmas cactus is to emulate what they have in their native environment. So remember, these are growing on other plants in their native environment, experiencing some filtered sun. I have found out that my Christmas cactus do best in 6 to 12 hours of sunlight in a south-facing window. You can grow these in north-facing windows as well. However, I found out that you're going to get much more prolific growth out of your Christmas cactus if it's in a south-facing window as opposed to a north-facing window. You will want to water your Christmas cactus once every 1 to 3 weeks. And I know that's a rather large time frame to think about when watering a plant, but there's a lot of different variables involved with watering correctly with your cactus. The first one being, is it in a south-facing window or is it in a north-facing window? If you're in a south-facing window, you'll probably find yourself watering closer to that 1-week interval. If you're in a north-facing window, you will probably find yourself watering closer to that 3-week interval. Other variables at play here are, what type of potting mix is it in? Is it a potting mix that drains readily, or does it have more peat and tends to hold on to some water? Is it in a terracotta pot that breathes a little bit? That's probably going to need to be watered a little bit more often than perhaps something like this plastic pot that you see here. So there's a lot of different variables at play, but what I like to do is use the finger check rule. So what you want to do is take your index finger, stick it down to the middle digit, down into the potting mix. If your fingertip feels moisture, you do not need to water. If it feels completely dried out, this is when we want to water. And when you want to water deeply. You want to water to the point that you see water coming out of the wheat poles in the bottom of your pot. Now what I have here, I have a saucer underneath my Christmas cactus, and I have pebbles underneath the pot, in between the saucer and the pot. And the reason for that is your cactus are not going to want to have wet feet at all. So what the pebbles do is, as I'm watering to the point of saturation and I have water coming out of the wheat poles, it holds the pot up out of that standing water, therefore reducing the risk of root rot in our Christmas cactus. If we are going to grow a large Christmas cactus, occasionally we need to put our Christmas cactus into a larger pot. You'll know it's time to bump up your Christmas cactus into a larger pot when you take your Christmas cactus out of its current pot and you begin to see the roots slightly touching the edge of the pot that it's currently in. You don't want to wait to the point that your Christmas cactus is beginning to girdle around the pot. So girdling is where the roots are growing in a circle because they can no longer go out. At that point, you definitely need to transplant. You'll want to transplant the next size pot up. You don't want to go from a little 6-inch pot like this to say like a 3-gallon pot or a 5-gallon pot. So what we're doing today is we are transplanting this Christmas cactus from a 6-inch pot to a 1-gallon terracotta pot. You will not want to use just any ordinary potting mix when you're doing this. So remember at the beginning of the video, we said that Christmas cactus is an epiphyte, meaning it grows on other things. It's growing on trees, it's growing on rocks. It doesn't have an extensive root system in heavy soils. So you want a potting mix that's very light in nature, something that has some sand in it, that has a lot of vermiculite in it. I will leave several appropriate potting mixes down in the description below so that you can have an appropriate potting mix for your Christmas cactus. In order to grow a large Christmas cactus, you're going to need to feed it every so often. Now, for demonstration purposes, I'm doing this in November when it's already flowering, but ideally, you'll do this in the early spring. You'll see new leaves emerging and popping out, and that is when you want to feed your plant. I prefer a slow release fertilizer as opposed to a liquid fertilizer. Osmocote is the perfect fertilizer for a slow release prill that is going to feed your Christmas cactus for 60, 90, 120, even all the way up to 180 days. There's different formulations of Osmocote, and each one will release nutrients very slowly into the pot so that your Christmas cactus does not get over fertilized. On a pot this size, so a 1-gallon pot, what I'm doing is putting 1 tablespoon of slow release complete blend fertilizer like Osmocote, top dressing it over the top. So as I water, the nutrients are slowly being released from the prill. The water's taking it to the roots of our Christmas cactus, and we're getting the maximum amount of nutritional benefit to our plant. To ensure the long-term success of our Christmas cactus and make sure that it gets really large, we need to discuss temperature control. What temperatures do Christmas cactus prefer? Well, thankfully, they like the same temperatures that humans like. They like a very moderate temperature environment, 60s, 70s, 80s, which really makes this a great house plant. Now, if you're keeping them outside, you do not want to have them exposed to temperatures below 55 to 60 degrees. So in the evenings, if you're getting close to 60 degrees for your nighttime low, you may want to bring it in the next morning, take it outside. So where I'm at in the winter, it's not unusual to have temperatures 20, 30 degrees Fahrenheit in January. This is just an inside plant during those months. Once we get to, say, April, May, and the nighttime temps are warming up, I can put it outside, and then by the time we're in late May, June, July, the summertime, I can just leave it outside completely. And that's what I've done with this one. This one stayed on my back porch all summer. It's done fantastic. Now that it's getting cooler, I've brought it back inside. If we are talking about temperature, we also need to talk about humidity requirements for your Christmas cactus. Remember where they're native to. They're native to the rainforest of Central America and South America, a very humid environment. If you're growing these in a very arid environment, one thing you need to do is supplement the humidity around your Christmas cactus. However, there's not a whole lot that you need to do if you're using the saucer method for watering like we discussed earlier. Simply leave the leachate, or the water that comes from the wheat poles, into your saucer in the saucer. That water will evaporate. That will increase the humidity around your Christmas cactus, and it should provide it with enough atmospheric moisture to keep it happy. If you're having issues getting your Christmas cactus to bloom at the appropriate time, Here's a fail-safe way to ensure that it will bloom for you when you want it to. 6 to 8 weeks before you want it to bloom, you want to expose it to 14 to 18 hours of complete darkness every day. Also, you want to limit the amount of moisture that the plant receives. You do not want to be watering it at the same level that you are watering it at before. When you do water, simply give it just a little bit and then let it completely dry out again. Within 4 to 6 weeks, you should start to see some flower buds emerge on the tips of your Christmas cactus. This Christmas cactus that I brought inside 6 to 8 weeks ago, I immediately put it in a closet, exposing it to 14 to 18 hours of direct darkness every day. And as you can see here, we're beginning to get some flower buds. Now that I have flower buds, I can put it back in a normal south-facing window situation. Another 2 to 4 weeks, this will be covered in flowers just in time for the holiday season. Christmas cactus, given time, can get rather leggy and woody, and you'll want to prune them on occasion. Now, this is the wrong time of year to be pruning Christmas cactus. You want to prune Christmas cactus after it has bloomed. So I want you to think February, March time frame would be appropriate for pruning Christmas cactus. And all you want to do is simply take a pair of hand shears. You could even really use your thumb and your index finger. And for example, this longer limb here, I'm just going to cut 2 or 3 leaves off of this limb. So you want to cut your Christmas cactus at a node. A node is just a site of vegetative development. So where the new leaf emerges from the previous leaf, just cut in between them. That's the perfect place to prune your Christmas cactus. That brings us to our next topic, and that is, how do you propagate Christmas cactus? Now, Christmas cactus is extremely easy to propagate. If you're just getting into propagation, this is one of the best plants to start with. And I'm going to show you 2 different methods here. So both methods involve taking cuttings from where we pruned and placing them in some sort of media so that they can root. Now, you can use the potting mix that we used earlier to propagate your Christmas cactus. What you want to do is, once you've removed your leaves from your Christmas cactus, you want to leave them out for 3 or 4 days. This is going to allow them to form something called a callus. Once it has calloused over, you can simply take your potting mix, take your finger, make a hole for your leaf, put the leaf into the potting mix, keep it moist, and within, I'm going to say 2 to 6 weeks, there's a little variation there in how long this will take, but they will root. 2 to 6 weeks, you should start to see roots. The way that I prefer to propagate Christmas cactus is a more simpler approach, and also an approach that can provide a learning opportunity for somebody just getting into propagating anything, in particular children. If you have small kids at home, this is a great way to do it as well. Take a glass and some cling wrap, saran wrap, whatever you want to call this, put it over the top of a glass of water, take a knife, cut a small hole in your saran wrap, place the leaf through the saran wrap so that the bottom of the leaf is down in the water. In 2 to 6 weeks' time, you should see roots to develop. Once those roots are approximately 1 inch long, you can remove your cutting from the water and plant it in a pot. So technically, we group 2 or 3 cactuses into a group that the public refers to as Christmas cactus, but this is actually what we would refer to as a Thanksgiving cactus. And the reason I know this is Thanksgiving cactus, the lobes are pointed. So it almost looks like little spines. They won't poke you. They're not tough spines. But on a Christmas cactus, our lobes are rounded. So that can help you differentiate. Do I have a Thanksgiving cactus or do I have a Christmas cactus? Just look at your lobes, pointed, Thanksgiving, rounded, it's going to be Christmas. If you're interested in how you can use cardboard in innovative ways in your landscape, watch this video here. If not, I hope you learned something from this video. If you have a tip, trick, or hack that we did not go over in this video that you would like to share with us, please make sure to leave that in the comments below. Guys, as always, thank you for watching The Plant Doctor, and until next time, happy gardening.